This is the record. If you've got a thing now that says record that or yeah, okay. Right. So welcome to the very first edition of the Finding Meitheal podcast with your hosts, Charlie Ryder and Ray Power.
Hello.
Uh, and we're joined by a very special guest, Claire Smith, who
Hi.
hi. So for those new to the word Meitheal, it's a beautiful Irish word which is all about communal spirit, something myself and Ray are going to share through this podcast. And so we are, as I say, delighted to have Claire Smith, who's going to take on our 6 question challenge. So, as just at the opening of this, I'm going to share a quote, and it's by somebody called Shunrai Suzuki, and he says, "In Zazen, leave your front door and your back door open. Let thoughts come and go. Just don't serve them tea." So I'm going to share that again. In Zazen, leave your front door and your back door open. Let thoughts come and go. Just don't serve them tea.
Wow.
So I just thought we'd just take a little pause there, just so we can actually just appreciate what those words are. And as you listen to this podcast, there might be thoughts that come up in your head. And remember this as you listen to this podcast. Leave your front door and your back door open. Let thoughts come and go. Just don't serve them tea. So we're letting that be the thing that's from the very kind of beginning in terms of how you respond to within on this podcast. So I'm now going to share a little piece that I wrote, and it's about meeting Ray, how I got to know Ray, and how we connected. In and when I before I share this, I was thinking, laughing about this today. I was thinking, there's been some great double acts over the years. We've had Abbott and Costello, we've had Laurel and Hardy, we've had Tom and Jerry, and now we've got Ray and Charlie. So we're going to be the next great double act. Okay, remember that from the beginning that you were here to witness that. So this is meeting Ray. This is how I connected with Ray. Sometimes media can be social and we can make beautiful connections with people in different countries. It was a post by my friend Damien Quinn which led me to discover a podcast which Ray Power shared with some open, courageous, and with such vulnerability. So I reached out to Ray on Facebook and shared a music video I produced about forgiving my dad, and that his honesty, candor, and humor on the podcast really spoke to me, as I've also done time in prison, so we have a shared experience. And from then on, our friendship has grown. I once heard this phrase: when you hear my story and I hear your story, it becomes our story, and seeds of hope are sown. I'm excited about us collaborating, and I'm grateful for the connection and friendship. I believe when we are genuine, curious, and kind, beautiful connections can and do happen in this social media spaceship. So I'm now going to hand over to Ray for a response, and then also for Ray to introduce Claire.
Thanks, Charlie, for that. It's been an amazing journey, Charlie, from the first time that you reached out to me through social media. Um, you have become a very loyal friend, a mentor, and someone that I think of first and foremost when something has gone wrong in my life because of the advice that you give me, which I hold very dearly. When I'm going through some terrible things in my life, after coming into recovery and after getting over addiction in prison, life is not a straight line and it throws curveballs at us. And when those curveballs come, the first thought that comes to me, I'm going to ring my friend Charlie, because Charlie, you have a way with people and a calming effect over me, and your advice is always spot on, and I listen to you, and it's always been the best advice. And I just want to say I love you with the bottom of my heart. You're a very, very good friend, and I'd be lost without you, Charlie. And also, we got a chance to meet last summer. We've been doing a lot of talking through social media, and we got to meet. And I remember walking towards you on the bridge here in Waterford City. And as I was walking, you didn't see me, but you were dancing. You were doing a little dance on the key, and that's exactly what I would have expected from you. You're a lovely, caring pair person. And as I said, I'm very privileged to have you in my life. And we talked then about, the power of social media and the chain reaction with that. Like when I was going through my terrible times in life, when I came out of prison, I made my circle very small and I eliminated people from my life, which was necessary for me. And I also had to eliminate my old version of myself as well. And recovery has brought amazing people into my life. And I want to introduce Claire Smith as well. So Claire is a kind of very similar story to us. I've been doing social media. Claire reached out to me. I sent my number. And the first time I spoke to Claire, I think we spoke for 50, 60 minutes on the phone. Um, and again, we had a story that we both shared. And as you said, Sherry, it became our story. Um, I couldn't believe, this beautiful lady, a beautiful soul, was comfortable enough with me sharing her life story because it could be difficult. And I shared my story, and I think there was a few tears. I get very emotional listening to people's story, and Claire has become that person again. That when we do talk on the phone, it goes a different direction. It's like every phone call myself and Claire have. It's like a podcast. We set off with one. We're talking about the app which she's going to introduce later on, and we're just going a whole different direction. And there's healing in that.
Mm.
Being able to share your story with someone. Um, so yeah, Claire Smith, an amazing person, and I'm also very glad to have Claire in my life. She's an amazing soul, and yeah, I get
Thank
emotional as well. So
you.
So,
yeah, I'm very, very, I'm very humbled to have both of you in my life. So thank you.
thanks so much, Ray. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So, so yeah, so you're the very first guest that we've got 6 questions that we're going to ask you if you're happy to answer, and then when you've finished answering them, we're going to give a word for each of those responses, if that makes sense. So the first question is, do you have a memory from childhood that kind of makes you smile, or a bit of fun, or brings a bit of joy? Um, yeah.
Um, so with the childhood, I don't remember any happy times, any fun times. I'm sure there was, but there's a lot of periods in my life where there would have been blank that I suppose the build up to maybe something traumatic happening for me kind of overrides anything else. So I suppose my childhood is just filled of trauma more so than memories of like fun memories or happy memories. But I love hearing other people's stories. You
Mm,
know, I think it's beautiful and how grateful I am to hear them because I know that there can be that. But when
mm,
you've never had that, it can be different sometimes. And yeah, it's just I feel a lot of gratitude for my children that they can have happy memories now. We do laugh and we do have such good memories we can look back on. But yeah, it can be a difficult one, even with the kids, when they're in school and they're being asked these questions to go home and ask your parents. And what
mm.
was your favorite thing to do in school? And what was your favorite thing to do with your parents? And all of that, it can be quite triggering.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there might have been a few little times where I've had to use someone else's story as my story for my kids because I couldn't tell them the truth. Going to
Mm,
traumatize a whole classroom of kids.
mm.
Um, but yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you. So the
Mhm.
second one is if you do you have a favorite quote? Do you have a quote that inspires you?
I have a few.
Okay.
It depending on the moment
Yeah.
and depending if I need to be lifted
Yeah.
or if I need to be steadied.
Yeah.
So we'll say like if I just need to be like to have faith and trust in what's actually happening around me, if there's so much going on, I just do tell myself, just hold on, this too shall pass. And that would be a very trigger, that'd be a very heavy one for me. I'd use that quite a lot, you know. And what I'm feeling in this moment isn't forever,
Mm.
that it's only temporary, I suppose there is a lot of quotes, but that kind of at the moment is kind of what I would be using.
Yeah.
But there is so many more, like there is so many incredible quotes. But I think it's whatever kind of piece you're going through in them moments.
Yeah.
There is one that may be the one that stands for you all the time, but other ones can really, really help also.
Yeah. 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 Lovely. Um, Third one is, what does forgiveness mean to you?
Oh, forgiveness. Yeah, that is you know, I actually sent you the song yesterday, Charlie, of one of
Yeah,
the
it's
songs that I
beautiful.
have in
Yeah.
the app.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will send it to you also, Ray. It's definitely wow. So for me, I was always told, maybe you should forgive, and I was like, not a chance. How can you forgive so many for doing so much wrong to you, so much trauma that actually was the piece that could have took you out of this world and possibly tried to so many times. And it was the ripple effect to everything else that happened in life. But in them moments, we don't see it like that when you're in the chaos.
Mm.
But there just came a point where the pain was too much. And like, what have we got to lose by trying something new?
Mm.
So for me, the forgiveness is not condoning the behavior, the actions, or the trauma that they put onto me.
Mm.
Absolutely not. What they done was, it was so wrong.
Yeah.
But don't I deserve to live a life of peace
Mm. Yeah.
with no weight on me that they put on me?
Yeah.
They don't know what I'm feeling. They
Yeah.
don't know the anger I carry. They don't know the disease that I
Mm.
have within my body that causes disease.
Yeah.
So forgiveness for me is truly allowing me to be in control of my life
Mm.
and to be free of all that happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Thank you.
truly life changing. Um, and to be able to sit here, I suppose, I'm very grateful that I don't hold hate against anyone who has harmed me. And that's not for them,
Yeah.
it's purely for me. Um, like so many of them are living their best lives. Um, and it doesn't have an effect on me now at all. Like there would have been times I would have felt anger. Um, and that's okay because you have to go through your emotions. You have to feel to heal. And if forgiveness isn't for you in this moment, that's okay too. This is your body. This was your mind. And that's respectful. And that's forgiveness for self, not allowing yourself to forgive them right now. Because you have to go through your emotions yourself. You have to go through the process. But the one piece of advice I would give is try it out. Fit it on and just see what it feels like for you. The process can be very uncomfortable, but it is 100% freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, uh, fourth question is, what are you grateful for right now?
I'm so grateful to be alive. So grateful. You know, there was so many times I did not want to see tomorrow. There was so many times where I planned my outing and nothing ever worked out. And not due to my fault because I had everything perfectly planned. I'd be quite good at that. But no, it just was not meant to be. And I am so grateful. So I am just, yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful. I'm even grateful for all that has happened to me also, which some people get that very hard to grasp in a sense that why would you be so grateful for so much trauma, so much horrific stuff to happen to you? But only when one can suffer and one can feel and heal all that she has been through or he has been through, can we lessen the suffering for others? If we make sense of our pain and give it maybe an understanding, I definitely feel it wasn't for nothing. And that's the piece that I kept holding on to many's the nights, the silent tears in the pillow, and the pillow would be soaking. I just kept praying, please don't let this be for nothing, you know, and yeah, you go through a period of where you just didn't want to be here, and that went on for years and years and years and years. And then I went through a period then of, well, seeing as you're not allowing me to get out of here, just don't let this be for nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely been truly an incredible life. Um, Painful. Look, I get to sit in front of you, two amazing guys, and so many more memories to make and journeys to be had, you know, and this is what it's about. It's turning your pain into something more than you, and it's just incredible, like incredible.
Thank you. So, next one is, what does radical curiosity mean to you?
Nah, that was a big word. I had to Google that.
Thank
You're talking to Claire here that lives in Cavan now. Come on. So radical curiosity for me is I kept asking my why. And the curiosity of that, I could never understand why me. I could never understand why even all of that happened to me, why everybody reacted to me about it, why everything in life was against me, when at times maybe it was possibly me against the world, but how can this girl that moved away at home at 15 with all of what has happened to her, she was battling an addiction that nobody knew about. Um, Possibly she was against the world and she had every right to be. But yeah, so I was very, very curious, and I'm still very curious because if someone even triggers me in a sense of like, I just don't like the way they said that to me, straight away, it's not about them. I'm into me. I'm like, what is it about me that's after triggering that? And sometimes it's not me, because sometimes it's whatever I have done, I've mirrored to them. So it's perfect. If I'm not irritating you, or if I am irritating you, I'm healing you. And if I'm loving to you, I'm also healing you. So I covered all flavors, to be honest. So yeah, so I kept asking my why, what's going to heal me, what has hurt me. Then what's this showing me? And if it's repeating, I haven't learned my lesson. Um, Suffering was a part of my becoming. So now I get to choose, either I repeat or I renew into something more.
Mm.
And that's very important because I obviously would say with my marriage, it was me that chose to close that marriage piece up. I was dying and inside in a sense where I didn't know who I was. My husband, he was a provider. He was always working, but I was always at home providing for the children. suicidal ideation was constantly banging in my brain, it would never leave me alone. And I just felt like I needed out. It was my out. I felt like the expiry date had happened. So it's kind of like I left that marriage. He was a very safe man. Like he never lifted his hand to me. Yes, I suppose at the end and stuff, emotions was very high and stuff like that because his family was falling apart in front of his eyes. But then I stepped into a toxic relationship. And then when that one had finished up, and that ended, I was with him for about 2 years. It ended in the November. And then in the February, then he came round to my home and held me down and sexually assaulted me and stuff. And then a few months later, I got close with someone else. And then I found then about 6, 8 months later, I kind of was in a relationship again. And it was just the same traits, but in different clothing. But it was the exact same person, but not the same person, if you know what I mean. It was different. Um, so unfortunately, if you don't heal from what has hurt you, you automatically can repeat that cycle in someone else because maybe they may not have lifted the hand to you directly, or they may not have been abusive with their words to you or whatever, but it is common, unfortunately, and that is the sad truth of the cycles. So I feel that in my life, even being brought up with my dad, there was times my dad was very abusive in the home and stuff as well, with, we'll say, all of us as a family and stuff. And then obviously I was sexually abused my whole life till I was 15. And then I had other people who had abused me also. And I suppose my dad would have been a seasonal drinker as well. I call it that because he might have gone like on the drink for days or a couple of weeks on end, and then there'd be nothing then for a couple of weeks, and then he'd go on it again and stuff, you know. So I suppose what I feel is I was chosen. If you believe in afterlife and soul, I believe that I possibly chose this path because none of my ancestors, I laughed at this the other day. I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. But none of my ancestors had the balls to do what I have to do. Come in here and break all these cycles up. I'm fucking sick of it. I hope there's no more because I have done a lot, you know. But yeah, so we'll say like with the drinking, the abuse, the sexual abuse, all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of breaking all of them cycles. Do you know that my ancestors would never have been able to do that? They made their bed, they lie in it, and that was just it. You know, the drugs part, obviously, that was different. That was new age. They wouldn't have been around the corner like my granddad's or anything. Wouldn't have been around the corner taking a few sniffs or anything like that. Wouldn't have been the case. They would have been a few drinks or whatever, you know. So, well, that's what I feel, anyways, for me, that when my marriage ended, it was like all of these cycles were showing up in my life again to make sure that I closed them out, that I'm not carrying them through. And it was very, very painful because I prayed for God to remove these people out of my life and they'd be removed. He listened. But then I also prayed for him for them to text me a few days later to make sure they were okay.
Claire,
you know?
Can I quickly say we'll need to do another second part with this because this is just 40 minutes. We're on the time thing.
Yes.
So what we can do, because I so want to talk about the app and to record also because this is the first time I've done this to check that it's all kind of recorded. So there's 4 minutes left on this. So what I'd like to do is we continue into a second part. So part two. So we would again do a little bit of an introduction thing, but I kind of would need just to check that this recording has gone okay. But if you're happy to, if you've got enough time, that we could jump on to do a second one so we can go through because I think it's so important. So if that makes sense. So we can continue on to do part two. And so the part two would be we'd give you the next question and then we continue within what we had planned, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we might even have enough time for you to do the final question. But then when we come back, the next part then will be you talking about the app that you've created. So all the stuff that you've shared is beautiful and is really important. I'm in my own panic mode about whether I've recorded this or not. But even if it doesn't record, this would just be what it'd be, and we'll work it out if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
So 3 minutes on this, and keep it to the time thing. So the final question is, what would you like your legacy to be when you die?
I want to live it before I die because I ain't coming back. There's nothing to come back for next time. That's it. It's all done.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I just going to live the legacy. I'm not going to worry about it afterwards, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Live the
um,
truest, fullest life right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, lovely. So these are some of the words that came to mind when I was listening to. So the first one was gratitude. Second one was kind of in the moment. Um, Third one was self-love. Kind of came through on that question. The fourth was healing. The fifth, the word that really struck to me was that you came through was why me. Just got two words there. I'm cheating, but and then I guess the final one was again. This is just from the heart. It was like live in the moment, live in the now. So yeah, so yeah. Thank you so much for those beautiful shares. I think it's lovely. So just wondered, Ray, is there any words that came for you?
Yeah, I suppose every time I hear Claire share her story, it resonates with me in my life. Claire's in Cavan, I'm in Waterford City, and I went through things in my life as a child, and I went through a trauma of a car accident. I went through the trauma of a father not being very present. You know, um, what kind of came to me was, when we talk about our young life, if you were to ask my brother what was it like growing up, he will tell you he had a great life. If you asked me what it was like growing up, I'd have a whole different story.
Mm,
Um, and I relate to all of that. That all through my life, cycles have repeated. But what it has gave me in life, being through all of this pain and struggle, is that I have tools, and those tools are that is a forgiveness. Sometimes I like the word, I forgive them. Claire was talking about forgiveness. I forgive my parents, not sometimes because they deserve it, but because I deserve the peace, and that's
mm,
something that always sticks with me. I do deserve the peace. I don't need to carry this into my adulthood. I remember looking at myself when I was young and said, when I grow up and have kids, I'll do the opposite. And I slowly went into that. I went into addiction, I went into a mental health, and I became like that as well. And I caused problems in my family. And